we all started our discussion on Jainism long back, and we started with the thought that what actually dharma is, and then we discussed it and we reached a conclusion that dharma is nothing but the very nature of everything. So Dhammo Vattu Sahavo was the mantra that was given by Swami Kartikeya in his scripture Kartikeya, in which he said that the nature of things is dharma. Dharma is nothing but the very nature of. So what we can do is our dharma. So if a fire can burn, it's the religion of fire to burn. If water can actually be very, it can give you some kind of peace, then being that much comforting is the religion of water. So similarly, the soul, if it can know, knowing is its religion. So to know everything becomes our religion and also our duty. So that was the definition that we concluded. And then this definition also had a condition that the dharma, the religion, whatever is given to us as our nature, it should also deliver to us the ultimate bliss. Dharma has also the responsibility to make us the happiest. Yo dharati uttame sukhe. So dharma is something following which we become ultimately happy, completely blissful. That's the duty of dharma for us. So dharma is the nature of everything. And by knowing the nature of everything, our life becomes little bit more easier than it already is. Because if I know that the thing in front of me is going to hurt me beforehand, I'll not take the pain of, try to make friends with that particular thing. I already know that, it is bound to happen that this thing is not very healthy for me. So if I know it beforehand, rather than trying to, convince it to not hurt me, I would do something which will help me from this particular thing by going away from it. So if I have additional knowledge about whatever is happening around me, I'll be better prepared to deal with that situation. So in any ways, if I know how things behave, if I know that this body is so fragile, it is going to leave anyway, no matter how healthy and delicious food I make it eat, no matter how much I care for it, it's still going to be, it's still going to end up being old, fragile, and one day it will decay, it will just die, and I'll have to leave from this body as well. So if I already know this, then why would I waste so much of my time and energy in keeping it, beautiful, healthy, and everything? The unnecessary efforts, the pains we take to take care of this body, when in reality, it's not going to stay any longer with us. So rather, we'll save some of our efforts from that and we'll try to invest those efforts in our self-building, in our soul, and that will make life a bit more blissful, a bit more peaceful, right? So that was the basic foundation which we laid, on which we tried to discuss, okay, we are going to discuss about dharma, we're going to know about everything, and we'll also try to be completely blissful. But is there somebody who followed the path of this dharma and attained happiness? And the answer that came to us was yes, five Parmeshtis are the five supreme beings who practiced dharma and became ultimately blissful. Who are these five Parmeshtis? So in the Namaskar mantra, in Namokar mantra, we go down to these five Parmeshti. Arhant Parmeshti, Siddha Parmeshti, Acharya Parmeshti, Upadhyaya Parmeshti, and Sadhu Parmeshti. These are the five Parmeshtis who are completely blissful or completely happy and who have attained supreme bliss. So when we learned about these five Parmeshtis, we also tried to learn about the happiness model, in which we tried to focus on the qualities, the basic qualities it takes to be happy in life. First one is Vitaragta, and second one is Sarvakyata. Vitaragta is disowning everything around you, meaning that realizing that no material, no, there is no such thing possessing which or owning which will promise us happiness. So why? First thing, because first, it's not possible to own everything. And if it is possible to own everything, to keep it intact with you forever, to sustain it forever, that ownership is definitely not possible. So in that case, the end result is definitely going to be such where you end up losing the possessions that you have, or you end up losing this body itself. So all the possessions remain here and you depart to a different space, right? You go to a different place. So either these all these things that surround you, they are going to leave, or you are going to leave them. Either of these two conditions is definitely going to happen. And therefore, possession is not the answer. First, it's not possible to possess everything that we desire. And if it is possible to sustain that possession, to sustain all those experiences, it's not possible. So it's okay that I have the ownership of so many beautiful and priceless things today. But the truth is, there will be a tomorrow when I'll have to leave all these things. And if when that moment of leaving everything that I have possessed for so long comes, will I be able to maintain peace with that moment? That, okay, everything around me is departing. It's actually shattering. The world around me is shattering, which uh, I gave so many years to water it, to nurture it, to grow it. And on one day, it all goes off just like that, right? So am I prepared for that day? So it's better if I mentally leave the possession of all these things today itself. It's okay. They stay, let them be. If they depart, I have no problem to make. I have no complaint to make to these things. That kind of attitude can ensure us happiness. And therefore, the Vitaragta was the first principle to let go all our possessions. The aparigraha is the first concept of Jain philosophy, that we do not attach our happiness to a materialistic thing. Happiness can never be outsourced. It has to be generated from within, because we are the source of happiness. We assume that, okay, this new dress, this new delicious preparation, this beautiful palace, this beautiful weather, it is making me happy. But no, we are just manifesting the happiness by ourselves. We are just imagining and telling ourselves, okay, this is good. You change your imagination, the same thing will become ugly. So you take out your old pictures and just see the dresses that we are wearing in those pictures. You'll find them so out of fashion, and you'll say, was I mad? Why was I wearing that thing? But then at that time, that was the most beautiful thing you were wearing. So at that time, that gave you happiness. And today, it makes you feel embarrassed about yourself. What was I wearing? Right? So happiness is not driven by the things that we have. It's driven by the mindset that we own at that particular instance, at that particular time. Therefore, Jainism very specifically said, if happiness is anyways not coming from these things, but it is coming from your mindset, why don't you work on repairing that mindset? When it is such that no matter how the outer situation is, you are determined to remain happy, calm, peaceful, full of contentment. And if that works, life would be much more easier for us. So then we found out, we concluded that, okay, yes.
In that last slide, can you just remind what the yes was in the middle? This the extra yes.
This one?
No, down this big yes.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. So the chart says like this: there are two beliefs of thought. So the first belief of thought is that happiness comes from possession and external experiences. The second thought says it comes from internal attributes and experiences. Then we go, do you need anything else to sustain happiness other than internal attributes? If yes, you will have to go to the first option, other possessions. So that yes takes you to the first possession. If you think anything else, if you do not need anything else, then you have to let go of everything that you have. If you need something, then you go to the first question. Do I need some external experiences and possessions? Can all the necessary resources and experience be possessed? If they cannot be possessed, you have to conclude that you have to let go of them today. If not, they're going to be with you tomorrow. And if you can possess them, can you sustain them? If you cannot sustain them, it's better you let go of them today. So that way, this whole chart says that the conclusion overall is that we are going to leave all these things here only. Then why to go about them? Why to run after them for entire life when we have to, in the end, leave them just as they are here? So they are going to remain here, but will depart. So it's pointless to run after so many possessions when life can very simply be lived with very little amount of only the possessions that fulfill our needs. It's futile to just complete our wants, which are so unnecessary and pointless. So we concluded then that the basic point why we are going down to the five Parmeshthis is not because they are superhumans, they're going to save us, they have superpowers, they are like, Avengers or whatever figures that, okay, we look after them to save us, to take us out of our misery. No, they do not do that. We adore them because they are truly passionless and possessionless. So they have dispassionate omniscience, that is Vitarag Vigyanta. That is the reason why we adore five Parmeshthis. So Jains are very, very, what should I say? We appreciate self-respect, right? So we do not beg in front of anybody, be it God or be it a normal being. We never beg. It's a question on our self-respect if we have to beg or bow down in front of somebody just to just to request to fulfill our demands. It doesn't look good. It makes us a beggar. A beggar, to be a beggar is not good. Yeah, you can be a giver. You can extend your help to somebody who is in need, but to ask somebody for need, it's a bit not desirable case. We Nobody likes it. Nobody likes to ask for help. Why? Because it demeans you. It makes you that you are not up to the mark, and there is somebody who is higher in authority than where you are. So in Jainism, Tirthankar Bhagwan says that, see, all souls are equal. There is no soul which is in bigger authority than you. We all are equal, and therefore we all have to be treated equal. So if you bow down to me because you think that I'm going to help you, that's actually demeaning your own self. No, sorry, we're not going to help you. We have nothing extra than what you have. And if we could do it without asking for help, why can't you? That's what our Tirthankaras are telling us. So we bow down to Tirthankaras not to ask for something, not to beg for something. We bow down because we appreciate that they chose to remain contented. They chose to remain restricted to themselves and not going to the possessions, not running after the possessions, or not begging around, going to people and saying, okay, please help me, save me. No, they just kept their hands on their hands, and then they sat in that meditation state, and then they just realized themselves and became supremely happy. So Vitarag Vigyanta is what we adore, we appreciate because we idealize it. There is no other intention when we bow down to five Parmeshthis. If we ask five Parmeshthis for something, for some good marks, good health, good wealth, then we are actually losing the point, because the five Parmeshthis anyways don't have any wealth. They do not own body now. They are now Siddha. How can they give you health? They do not have to go to school to, graduate and be a topper. How can they give you marks? They have nothing that they are asking of this world. All they have is all they are is just the example that a soul, if is determined, can conquer over the self defects of rag, dvesh, of passions, And they have done it. So they are the ideals for us. So Vitrag Vigyanta is owned by 5 Parmeshtis, and therefore the 5 Parmeshtis are adorable. And therefore, we also concluded that we are not going to go down in front of just anybody. Only person who is Vitragi and Sarvagya is worth our salutations. If a person does not own the basic quality of Vitrag Vigyanta, means he is possessionless and passionless. If he is not that, sorry, we cannot go down to that person. Not hatred or not the pride that we have, that we do not choose to go down to just any random person, but we care a lot about what we admire, what we idealize. I do not idealize passions. I do not idealize anger. I do not want to be greedy. I do not want to be very proud. I do not want to be called a cheat. And therefore, I cannot idealize a person who has anger, who has pride, who cheats, who is greedy. I cannot. So only person who is passionless and possession free is the person in front of whom I'm going to go down. Okay, so that's what we also discussed. And therefore we said, okay, anybody can be these 5 Parmeshtis. These are the 5 designations. You have to just qualify having those certain number of Mulgunas. If we manifest these Mulgunas, if we attain these Mulgunas, we become Arihanta, we become Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu. Correct? This is what we discussed. I hope you all remember a little bit of it even. We discussed about this, that in Jainism, everybody has a fair chance, equal chance. We all can become Arihanta, Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyaya, Sadhu, if we are willing and if we're determined to attain or manifest these mool gunas, which we already have in our soul. We have to just manifest them. Okay. Then we had this thing, this particular gatha. We'll read it one more time. Aruha Siddhayariya Uchchaya Sahu Panch Paramethi Devihu Chitta Diyade Tamha Adahu Me Saranam. What was this gatha about? It was saying it's okay that we're going down to Arihantas, but we do not have to forget the fact that Arihantas are also soul, just like we are. So just going down to Arihantas will not help. We'll also have to go down to ourselves. The Arihanta, Siddha, Acharya, and Upadhyaya and Sadhus are 5 Parmeshtis. They too are submerged in the soul, and that's how they became 5 Parmeshtis. Thus, what should I do? To me, myself is the only abode. So if I go down to myself, just like the 5 Parmeshtis did, I will also become one of those. Right? That's what the essence of this katha was. And this took us to a discussion where we discuss about the soul. What is soul? What is Atma? Right? So Parmeshthis, they are nothing but the fruition of the soul itself. A soul can be human. A soul becomes an animal. A soul goes to hell. A soul goes to heaven. A soul can also become one of these Parmeshthis and attain salvation. So this is one soul which is taking so many roles. Which role do you like? What do you want to be? An animal? No. A person who lives in hell? No. Heaven? Sounds good. Nobody would mind going to heaven. You want to go to heaven? Jia, Adi? Yeah, heaven. So if a flight starts boarding and it says that it is going to take you to heaven today evening, okay, Adi, you'll board that flight if it goes to heaven to take you. Only thing you'll have to do is you'll have to say goodbye to your family and the body that you have. Are you willing to board that flight? It will take you to heaven tonight itself. You have to leave behind everything, including your body.
Do you mean heaven as in the Gati?
Yeah, the Gati, Dev Gati.
Oh, no.
No, why? Why? You're enjoying over here. You'll not have to write any exams. You'll not have to attend this patshala. You will not have to do anything that that irritates you or that you're fed up of doing again and again. Why will you not board that plane which will take you to heaven tonight?
In heaven, you'll have kind of more attachments.
Oh, wow. So then what is the problem? It's good. You have more luxury over there, right? I'm just forget about that. We're sitting in a patshala. We're just having a random friendly discussion. A plane is boarding and going to take you to a place where you will find luxury of every kind, for which you are, struggling so hard. You're working so hard to, pass your school, then your college, then you'll have a degree, then you'll have a job, and then you will be, looking for your dream car, dream house, and everything that you want, right? You can own everything tonight by boarding that flight without giving exams, without appearing for any interviews, without any hard work. What's wrong?
I think Jia wants to go.
Yeah, Jia.
You can't get happiness from heaven.
But you get relaxation from so many trivial tensions of this mundane life, don't you?
Yeah, but it won't be like permanent.
It won't be permanent, but the present life is not permanent either.
But in the present life, you're more likely to get happiness.
Oh, okay. And why, like, what proofs do you have to substantiate your claim? Yes.
Whilst you're a human, you can get happiness. So like you can get samyak darshan.
Yeah, you can. So Samyak Darshan can still be gained in Devgati as well. No, but I'm asking from very simple point. The point I'm willing to make is, even if you have to board that flight, you'll have to leave everything that you have already, right? Including this body, the parents, the friends, the belongings. And it's a very tough decision, if somebody tells you to, leave everything and come. At that time, you realize how strong this bond of attachment is. Right? It's not easy to leave everything that we possess when a situation like this comes. And even if, Sadhguru comes and tells you that, okay, come with me, I'm going to take you to moksha. I don't think most of us will agree to go with Sadhguru. Why? Because we take it very lightly, the attachment, the threads of attachment, but they're not threads, they're shackles, they're very strong. They're not just like, okay, fine. The attachments that we assume with the things that we own is very strong. And therefore, this one soul is from one place to another, it travels. And every time it has to travel to a different gati, to a different state of being. It has to break all those shackles of attachment. And therefore, the death is such a sad story. Therefore, death is such a big event. Because at that point in time, you have to break all those shackles you nourished, you cultured over your lifetime. Correct? So Arihantas are now saying that, okay, see, the soul can take so many forms. Just decide for yourself which form do you want to take over. And just like Adi and Jia said, that even if I go to heaven, I'll again have to nurture those shackles of attachment. And then one day, cruelly, the time will break those shackles and I'll have to move to a different place. Wherever I live, I want a permanent place to dwell. I do not want to nurture shackles over time, and at the end of the day, I have to break them. That's very cruel. It hurts, it's painful, which is unbearable pain. Therefore, the Siddha Gati is one where once attained, you do not have to move to any different place. You stay there. It's a permanent state. And therefore, Acharyas are saying that, okay, if you want a permanent address, then it's Siddha Gati. To be Siddha, you'll have to be Sadhu, then you'll become Arihanta, and then you can become Siddha. So that's what we're trying to understand. Okay, what is that science which makes us Siddha? What is that science following which we can become Deva? The science which can lead us to hell, to Narak. The science which makes us animal. The science which makes us human. Because if I know something about water, I know how the water can be converted to ice. I know the water can be converted to the vapor. I know how the water can be converted to air because I know the chemical formula. I know how it reacts to fire, how it reacts to cold, right? Just knowing every form of water, if I know the states of water, I know how and when to convert water to ice and how and when to convert it to vapor. Correct? All I need to know is how this science works. So just like if we know something about water, its formulation, how it reacts to fire, how it reacts to winter, I know whenever I am given water and I know what the situation is, if I'm feeling a bit cold, I can just heat up the water and take the vapor and, just help myself with that cold. If I'm having some juice and I like it drinking very cold, I can convert water to ice and I can put that ice cube on that glass because I know every formation of water. Similarly, when I know the science of water and different forms it can take, similarly, soul is an object, soul is a substance too, it's a dravya. It also takes different forms. If I know how to convert it to a particular form, then I can decide which chemical process do I have to take. What do I do to make it converted to a Siddha or to a Deva or to a Naraki or to a Tiryancha, right? So that's the whole effort is to know the different phases, the different states of being the soul takes and what is the science, what it takes to become that, to gain that form. Okay, so for this, we started our discussion with this logo of Jainism, and it was actually in reality what? It's not the logo just, it's the three words as propagated by Jain Tirthankaras. We call it the map of the world. It's our globe. It's not circular, it's not spherical, it's a image in which you can assume like if you remove this, you only keep the shoulder, remove the head, and you put your hands on your waist and you spread your legs. That's the shape that your body will make, right? It's called the three worlds: Urdhva the upper world, Madhyalok, the middle world, and the Adholok, the lower world. So in the lower world, you have 7 naraks. In the middle world, the animal and human world is there, Manushya and Tiryansh majorly. And in the upper world, you have Devas. And on the topmost part, there is a small Siddhashila where Siddhas dwell, right? This world, how do we define this world? It is nothing but the collection of the 6 substances. Okay, what are these 6 substances? We'll quickly see a video and then we'll discuss about it. Okay. I hope, I don't know, you must have seen it in your school as well. It's very okay. So I think we're open for discussion. What did you see? Soham, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. What did you see?
So I saw the feathers in the ball falling at the same time in space conditions.
Yeah. So now let's try to discuss. What we're trying to discuss is when they created that complete vacuum, right? What all was there in that space where that iron ball and that feather was hanging, right? And there was not even air. What happened first when they threw the iron ball and the feather together? Did they reach to the ground at the same time? At first instance, what happened? Yes, Soham?
Also, the ball fell much faster than the feather because of air resistance.
Because of air.
And
Could you see the air? Could you see the air that was there already?
no, it's just a force acting that.
Yeah. But it was there, and it could affect the movement of, not if the iron ball, but it could affect the movement of feather, because it was light, easy to manipulate, right? Correct, Jia? So what does it tell you about air?
It can control the speed that things move.
No, so can we say, just like, you know, any other resistance, any other thing, like, you know, just like a plastic, it can be used to resist movement, right? If the plastic is around, there's a plastic sheet hanging in this space, and if you throw a ball from the top, it will touch the plastic, and then the plastic will actually change the course of that ball by some minutes, by some seconds, nanoseconds, it will. Similarly, the same work is being done by the air, right? So air can be touched. Can it be? Right? Air also has some physical identity. Yes. Yes. Though we cannot see it, it has. It has. It has its own existence, and you know, it affects the things that it surrounds. So if a very strong air is blowing and you're walking by the sea, you can feel it. You can feel that, you know, it takes more of your efforts to walk forward, correct? Because the air is giving huge resistance to us, correct? That we all have felt, correct? So our here they start blowing because of the air sometimes. Fine. So air. So out of these 6 substances that we have, in which substance can we categorize the air, now knowing the quality of the air that we have? What should air be? Try to find out. Let's go to that setting where, you know, the iron ball and feather are hanging, and all the walls are now closed, and even the air has been thrown out of that place. It's complete vacuum without any air, right? Can you see, can you recognize how many dravyas out of these 6 are present in that laboratory, in that setting? How many of the dravyas are present? Can we count them? Can we count them? Yes. How many? So there is space. Definitely there is space. Is there time moving inside that facility? Is there time? Where I could not see any of the walls having any watch. Where was the time? Adi? Yes.
They were like time happens. It's not a clock. It's just
Yeah, the time is not a clock, it's not a watch, right? Time is just the change, and the change were constantly happening. There is not even a pinch of space that is there where the change does not happen. If you ever find out a room without time, I would happily want to enter that room. You know, that would be the most beautiful place to be in. That would be the dream property that everybody must own, where the time does not work. You enter that property, you come out 10 years later, and you're still the same. And the world around you has grown by 10 years. That would be wonderful, right? But there is not even a single square inch of space where the time does not work. So time is omnipresent. So time is there, space is there. What else is there? In that vacuum, can the things move? Yes, Adi? Yes?
there was matter with football.
Sorry, what? Matter you could see. What is the matter that you can see?
The bowling ball and the feather.
Yeah, the walls you could see, the hanging crane that they had, the facility, all the balls and the feather, everything. So they are the pudgal matter. What else? What else? What else do you see? So when they actually let free the iron ball and feather, Do they move or do they not move?
They
Do they-
move.
Yeah, they do. So they definitely just taking air out of that facility doesn't make that medium of motion out. Can they make a facility where things do not move? Do you know a place where the movement is not possible? Can you think of a place? That's a different thing, whether you can move by your own choice or in space you move automatically, you just free float. That's a different thing. But just like you cannot find a room without time, can you find a room without movement where you cannot move? Do you have any idea? Can you think of a place where things cannot move? You enter and nothing moves. Can you think of some place? If you've ever heard of such a place, the movement is not allowed, right? So again, the medium of motion is omnipresent. It's again, every space that we have in the known world that we live in, it has medium of motion all around, correct? And where medium of motion is, things do not keep on moving all the time. They also come to the space of the state of rest. So where there is medium of motion, dharmastikaya, there is medium of rest as well, which is called adharma dravya. Correct? So in that facility, earlier the feather and the ball was hanging stationary. That was medium of rest. And then when it fell down and reached the ground, touched the ground, and then it again rested over there. So the movement was medium of motion. When it rested on the ground, it was medium of rest. 4 substances, 5 substances are already there. Now, my question is there a jiva in that room? Is there a knower in that room? Out of 6, we have 5 already there, right? We can mark these 5 present. Which substance would that be? Air, which has been thrown out of that room? The air. What out of these 5, the air was which substance?
Jeev.
The air. Was it Jeev or Pudgal? It
Jeev.
definitely was not space, not time, not medium of motion, not medium of rest. It has to be one out of these 2. So they have thrown all the air, they have pumped the air out of that facility, right? So that air which was pumped out of that facility, which substance was that air?
Jeev.
Why chief, will you say, can you justify why it was chief?
Because it is one of the 5 types of Darian.
Yeah, Isthavaras, like one-sensed organism you're saying. But see, Jia, that's a beautiful answer that okay, it's one of the 5 types of Sthavar Jivas, the air, just like the earth is, fire is, water is, and the plants are, right? It is one of the type of the Jivas. But see, these 5 are the types of the bodies in which Jiva is found. So air is not Jiva. Air is the body where Jivas dwell. So because it could affect the movement of the feather when it was present, right? The ball just came down quickly, but the feather took a longer route. Correct? What was the answer? Why the feather took longer? Because there was air resistance. So it could touch the feather and resist it. Yeah, a substance that can be touched or that can touch. It is the quality of what? Jiva or Pudgala? Pudgal has 4 qualities: Sparsh, Ras, Gandh, and Varna. Sparsh is touch, Ras is taste, Gandh is smell, odor, and Varna is color. So you cannot see air, so it does not have color as such, as of now. But can you touch it? Can you touch the air? Does the air around you touches you? Say, tell me, Adi Jia, does air touch? Can we feel the air? It's a warm or a cold breeze blowing, or a warm air is summer, hot summer, we can feel it, right? Correct? So air can be touched. So it automatically makes it what? Pudgal or matter. So 5 substances are present. Despite throwing the air out of that facility, there is enough of the matter in that facility that we can see. My question is, where is the Jiva? Where is the Jiva in that facility? Could you see Jiva? Yes, where? Anybody?
Is it like you said, the G, like Gia said as well, the Jeev would be in the air particles?
But the air we have pumped out
Oh,
in that vacuum. Yeah, no.
it'd still be, would there still be like bacteria? They could still be.
Correct. Yeah. So Negodia Jivas will always be omnipresent, right? Correct. Also, who is observing this experiment? We all are, right? And those in that facility, out of that facility, there were people who were actually observing what all is happening inside that vacuum facility, right? So that's the most important thing. If this whole facility was working with these 5 substances, nobody would care whether the feather falls first or the iron falls first. Who is curious to know the experiment? All these 5 substances are dancing on the tunes of whom? Who is actually engaging in this experiment? So actually, everything that we see around us is just to amuse our intellect, is just to amuse our consciousness. So this whole play becomes a no play if you remove Jiva out of this. If there is no Jiva, there is no experiment. If there is no knower, no conscious being, no substance, then whatever is happening, there is a famous quote, if a tree falls in the jungle, does it make sound? Tell me. Jia, if a tree fell down in jungle, did it make sound?
Yes,
How do you know?
because usually when trees fall, they make sound.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Not. What if somebody created a very soft bed for it before it fell down and it did not make any sound? How do you know, sitting in your home, the tree which fell down in jungle made any sound? How conclusively can you say you do not know in which condition or at what place, at what surface it fell down? So it's a philosophical thought that, okay, if something is out of my knowledge, then I don't care what happens to it, whether it creates sound or not. You see, your mom cooks delicious food, okay? What do I do? What good is it for me? You get to eat very delicious food. That's good for you. But for me, I'll have to bear with what my mom makes, right? Correct? So everything that is outside the purview of our intellect, we don't care about it. Okay, right now while we are having this class, there must be some volcano that is erupting somewhere in remote area. Does it make you sad? Does it make you feel worried? No. Things only begin to worry us. See, I didn't know that there was a new variant of COVID in my locality. Until I didn't know about it, I was very happy going about all the markets and doing everything. When the trouble started, the trouble began not when that COVID variant came. The trouble began when I got to know about it, right? So the center idea of all our sufferings, all our joys, all our conduct, good conduct, bad conduct, everything, it just roams around the intellect, what we know and what we do not. So therefore, this small experiment was to just say, first, everywhere, even in the vacuum facility, we can see there are 6 substances always present. There is no 7th substance you want to make this experiment work. These 6 substances easily let that facility decide that whether there is gravity or there is no gravity. Correct? The Galileo's experiment is proven in that facility with the help of these 5 substances and the 6th, the curious soul. Correct? Jain Tirthankaras have propagated, have told us there are 6 substances that are not just the substances, but the bare minimum amount of things that we require to get anything done. So the ingredient to every work that happens are these 6 substances. They're omnipresent, that they have been told to us by Tirthankar Bhagwan. Of all these substances, the central substance is the soul. It's the soul of this universe, because if it is there to know, to realize, to feel, to experience, then all the 5 substances will dance to the tune of it. But if we remove soul, if we remove consciousness, if we forget about this self and just care about this body, just care about the mundane life that we have, we actually lose the point of dwelling. So our life is not just to take care of this body, but also to feed our curiosity, to find out a way out of this mundane. And that Tirthankar Bhagwan has asked us to think about these 6 substances. We had already discussed about these 6 substances in our previous classes. Today's class was just a revision class, but also we tried further substantiating what we already know about these 6 substances. Tirthankar Bhagwan has said there are 6 substances, not 7, not 5. Without these 6 substances, there is no work that can be done. Of all these 6 substances, the supreme one is the soul that we have, the jiva that we are. Because without the jiva, all the work becomes of no point. All the talk, all the experiments, they just, they are fruitless, they are pointless. So the most important substance of this universe and the primary substance of this universe is me. I am the most important substance of this world, and so are you, centrally. So, Jia, you, this universe is revolving around you. It's for you. And same for Adi. For me, Jia and Adi, you do not matter. And for you, I do not matter. For Adi, none of us matter because we are the central point. So we all are individually central point of a universe, because we will only care then, no, when it hurts us, right? So the trouble begins when something tries to encroach on the periphery where we dwell, our intellect dwells. Therefore, Tirthankaras are requesting us, they're telling us to, gather yourself and please be worried about yourself. You are the center of your own universe. If you're not worried about yourself, if you're not thinking that how to get out of this place, nobody else will, because Anubhav is going to think about Anubhav. Adi must think about himself because her mother is thinking about herself. Everybody is at their selfish best. And so we must be selfish in this path to self-discovery. That was the essence of today's class. We'll stop here. From the next class. Yes.
One question. So this where we say that in the vacuum there will be Jeev, right?
Yeah.
In science we say that all living things need oxygen to survive. So in that vacuum there would be no oxygen, right?
Yeah, perfect. The question is, so all living beings require oxygen to survive. There are 2 types of living beings when Jain philosophy we talk. One is Sukshma and one is Sthul, right? Sukshma are the jivas which you cannot kill. You cannot kill them. They die their own death. You cannot stop. So if there is a Sukshma jiva and it has to pass from this point to this point, hand cannot stop them. They just, they just travel all around the universe, the 343 cubic rajus. They do not need all these things. Yes, they have Shwasochwas. They have their own 10 out of 10 pranas, that many pran they need. Basically, they have, if they're one sensed organisms, they have their 4 pranas. But still, no matter what kind of facility is there, Sukshma Jivas can travel across they can actually travel through the Meru Parvat, through the Vajra, and they cannot die by fire, they do not die by air, by water, by anything, because they're very sukshma. Their shari, their body is such which is undestructible. So they die their own death. Those jivas do not require all these things. So this whole universe is filled with sukshma jivas.
And that's only the Nigodya Jiv. That is.
Yes, mostly. Yes.
Okay.
So they're all pervasive. They're everywhere in abundance. Okay, so those are omnipresent. Okay, but for us, that experiment in which we were curious about, the jiva will be counted, not those sukshma jivas. We are conducting that experiment, right? So though we are not inside that room, but we are governing that room, right? So the jivas are required even for that particular experiment. Okay. Think about these 6 substances. From the next class, we'll start digging more deeper into these 6 substances while learning about the constitution of the world according to Jainism. We'll quickly have a short Chinmaya study. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए चिन्हवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, उसके लिए चिन्हवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है. 9 times Ramukar mantra. जैन धर्म नो जय हो. Thank you. Jai Shnendra.
Jai Shri.
Jai Nanda.